Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. And Dynamite tonight, of course, was from Daily's Place in Jacksonville, and this was AEW's Fallout or Dynamite's Fallout show from Double or Nothing. And Dynamite tonight, this was a good show. Really enjoyed it tonight. And tonight we had the debut of a tag team, which I called that. I said that they were going to make their AEW debut once their contracts with WWE were up. So, but I'll get to that later. But tonight we saw the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and Matt Hardy versus Private Party and Joey Janela in a six-man tag. Brian Cage was in action after making his surprising debut at Double or Nothing this past Saturday night. We had also Jimmy Havoc versus Kip Sabian. No, Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus SCU, and the winner of that match will get to face Kenny Omega and Hangman Page next week for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. So that's going to take place on next week's Dynamite. And also, we had a battle royal to determine who will face Cody for the TNT Championship. And also, we had the Inner Circle having their little prep rally. So we had that tonight. But overall, Dynamite was a good show tonight. So let's jump right in to the review. So Dynamite opened up tonight with the Inner Circle. And Jericho was talking to Santana, Ortiz, Guevara, and Hager about the prep rally that's going to be taking place later on, because the Inner Circle wants to get back on top of everything. Jericho ended up saying that they also have to find a way to sell their shirts, their Stadium Stampede Champions shirts. And I think it was Santana or Ortiz said, "Oh yeah, we have a truckload full of these shirts." So they open up the truck, and it's just boxes and boxes of the shirts inside of them. So that was pretty much basically that. But like I said, we're going to be seeing the prep rally. We saw the prep rally later on in the night. And then we went to the Daily's Place, and we had the first match of the night, which was Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, and Matt Hardy versus Joey Janela and Private Party. And this was a good match. This was a very good six-man tag match. Before the match got underway, you had Matt and Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and Matt Hardy in the locker room. Hangman Page, of course, drinking a beer. Page ends up leaving, and he says, "Oh, he's got stuff to drink." Kenny Omega ends up heading out, and he ends up wishing the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy good luck in their match. And Nick and Matt ask if they can get sorry about that, but I was saying Nick and Matt Jackson asked if they can get a different version of Matt Hardy tonight. So Matt Hardy ended up coming out looking with his Team Extreme look, which is old school Matt Hardy there. And he goes back to that gimmick. And then we had the match, which when the match started, Matt and Nick Jackson ended up getting things going, and they end up keeping Joey Janela down. Matt Hardy comes in, delivers a clothesline to Janela. Nick Jackson comes back in and drops Janela to the floor. And then we had Isaiah Cassidy come in. And then we had Cassidy ends up keeping the match going on Nick Jackson. You had Nick Jackson end up hitting a code red on Isaiah Cassidy. And also forgot to mention, Nick Jackson ends up going for a super kick out to the floor. And he ends up hitting the Blade. Of course, of the Butcher and the Blade. So Matt now is attacking both Butcher and the Blade. So that was when Nick Jackson ended up hitting code red to Isaiah Cassidy in the ring. And Matt Hardy comes in, drops both Mark Gwen and Isaiah Cassidy. Matt Hardy ends up dropping Janela, and he ends up piling Janela on top of Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Gwen. And they all kicked out because Hardy went for the pin. And Hardy ended up delivering a moonsault to all three guys, which was cool. And at the end of the match, you had the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy win it. Matt Jackson ends up delivering a super kick to Isaiah Cassidy. There you go. The Young Bucks and Matt Hardy end up winning the match. And post-match, you had Matt Hardy, and he ends up checking on Mark Gwen, and he helps him to the back along with Isaiah Cassidy. So then we had the Butcher and the Blade. They went after the Young Bucks, who were still in the ring. And then we see a truck ends up pulling up to the ring. And this was the surprise debut of this tag team in AEW. And it is FTR, which, of course, we all remember in WWE. They were the Revival, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, which now they call themselves Dax Harwood and Cash Wilder. Wilder, I think that's how you pronounce his last name here. But they both end up getting into the ring and looked like that they were going to attack the Young Bucks, which I know a lot of people said, they want to see FTR versus the Young Bucks. That's a dream match waiting to happen, which I fully agree with. I would like to see FTR versus the Young Bucks. That would be a awesome, great match between them. And, it's what people say. It's a dream match waiting to happen. So they go after, the FTR ends up going after Butcher and the Blade. So they end up delivering a spiked pile driver on Blade. And then we had FTR and the Young Bucks end up staring at each other for a little moment. Little tease that, in the future you might possibly get FTR versus the Young Bucks. And I am waiting for that to happen. But FTR, finally they are in AEW. I called it. I said, after their WWE contracts were up. I said, they're going to go to AEW, and look where they are. I was right. So, really glad that they are in AEW, and they're going to be treated well. They're going to be treated well here, what WWE failed to do with them. But yeah, really happy that FTR are in AEW. And so then after that, we had Brian Cage versus Lee Johnson. This was a short match. This match lasted 2 minutes. Brian Cage, who made his debut at Double or Nothing this past Saturday in that casino ladder match. And we had Moxley on commentary during this match. Him and Brian Cage will be meeting at Fyter Fest. And Brian Cage, the match starts. Brian Cage just immediately comes into the ring and attacks Lee Johnson. He launches Johnson across the ring, delivers a suplex on Johnson. Taz was on the stage. He was laughing at Cage suplexing Johnson. So Cage ended up delivering a powerbomb to Johnson, which was followed up by a buckle bomb. Then Brian Cage ends up winning the match. Hits the drill claw on Johnson. So there you go. Brian Cage wins the match in 2 minutes. So post-match, Taz got on the mic and he was talking to Moxley. Taz ended up saying to Moxley that he wants Moxley to bring all his grit and heart to Fyter Fest. He ends up telling Moxley that Cage is going to rip his heart out. And he ended up saying, beat him if you can. Survive if he lets you. So there you go. That was that, but really like Taz managing Brian Cage. I like that, Taz is speaking for Cage. Cage, since he made his debut at Double or Nothing, and now he made his Dynamite debut here tonight. He doesn't, they didn't make him speak yet. So I really like that Taz is, speaking for Cage. It's a good combination, having Taz managing Brian Cage. That's good. That's really awesome. Since Taz was, just doing, commentary, for AEW. And, he was doing commentary, back in the day when he was with WWE. So, but really glad that they have him with Brian Cage. So then we had Britt Baker. Britt Baker came out to talk with Tony Schiavone. Britt Baker was in a wheelchair. She was there with Rebel, who was pushing Britt Baker in the wheelchair. And Britt Baker wanted to give another rules of being a role model, and she had a stand and a board which said rules of being a role model on it. She ended up saying, rule number 3, don't hurt the role model. Baker ended up saying that her injury was a conspiracy. And she said that last week's injury came from a 3-on-1 calculated attack. She ended up saying that without her, there's no women's division. And she went over why each person is a conspirator. So she made Rebel lift up, pages, that was on the stand. So she ended up lifting up one of the pages, and first page was a picture of the alien, Chris Statlander. So she ended up calling Chris Statlander an alien, with her being an alien, is a crock of shit. So she ended up lifting another picture. Rebel ended up lifting up another picture, another page. And it was Hikaru Shida. Britt Baker ended up saying that Hikaru Shida already broke her nose. And Nyla Rose ended up, she ended up saying that Nyla Rose could have easily guided herself away from her fragile knee. Which then Rebel lifted up, another page, and it had Nyla Rose's picture on it. So Britt Baker then showed us another board she bought out. And she was tying all those included in what happened to her. And she ended up saying that she believes Aubrey Edwards, the most over referee in AEW. Everyone loves Aubrey Edwards. So Britt Baker ended up believing that Aubrey Edwards is the brains behind it all. And she ended up saying that every time she was injured, Aubrey was there. So Baker then ended up announcing that she will be back. Sorry about that again, but I was saying, Britt Baker ended up saying that she will be back at All Out on September 5th. And so basically, that was the whole segment, though. But Britt Baker, her promos are getting much more better, in my opinion. So, but that was that. She'll be back at All Out on September 5th. And then we went backstage. Alex Marvez was interviewing Jericho and the Inner Circle. And Jericho ends up saying that the prep rally will be the best thing ever. So Jericho was like hyping it up. And then Orange Cassidy was shown. Orange Cassidy was in the background. He strolled by Jericho and the Inner Circle, and which was funny. Jericho ended up saying, "Did he just do that?" So Jericho was shown smiling, and he was like, "Oh, I got an idea." So, that was that. More hype for the prep rally, which happened later on in the night. I forgot to mention, Mike Tyson was in action on Dynamite tonight. And then we had Hikaru Shida versus Christi Jaynes. And the match itself, it was meh, in my opinion. And the match started off with Shida and Jaynes. They went to the ropes. Hikaru Shida ended up backing away. And we had Jaynes end up asking Hikaru Shida to do like a little dance. Hikaru Shida ended up doing the dance. And Jaynes ended up kicking Hikaru Shida's knee. Shida ended up hitting Jaynes with a bunch of strikes. And at the end of the match, you had Hikaru Shida end up hitting 2 running knees to the back of Christi Jaynes' head. And then Hikaru Shida ended up hitting, the Falcon Arrow. And there you go. Hikaru Shida end up winning the match. Very meh women's match. Match lasted like 5 minutes. That was that. And then we had Cody come out. Cody, the TNT champion, won the title at Double Nothing this past Saturday, where he ended up defeating Lance Archer. Mike Tyson ended up presenting the TNT championship to Cody that night. So Cody ended up heading out to the ring. Arn Anderson ended up joining Cody on the stage. And Cody ended up talking with Tony Schiavone. And Cody then talked about Tom Brady being his favorite quarterback. Really? Really, Cody? Tom Brady. But no hate to Cody. That's his liking. It's cool that, Tom Brady is his favorite quarterback. That's cool. And he was like, because he wasn't picked first. Just like he wasn't picked first by Tony Khan when he was putting, AEW together, putting together the best, wrestlers in AEW. So then Cody ended up talking about how he could outwork anyone. He ends up saying that he will be ready every week to defend the TNT championship. So what this means is Cody is bringing that TNT title. He's making the TNT title prestige, which is good. It's good that we get in prestige to this new title. So Cody was saying that it will be an open challenge for as long as he's the TNT champion. He ended up talking about how we're still in a pandemic. He says it's his obligation to give everyone his best. When they give 2 hours worth of our time, to watch, their product. And Cody ends up thanking everyone. Well, we thank you, Cody, for giving us 2 hours of awesomeness in AEW. But very good promo from Cody. Enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I'm liking how they're bringing this prestige to this new title, the TNT Championship, and Cody, having open challenges every week. So that's awesome. But good promo from Cody. And then we had Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus SCU, Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. And the winners of the match will get the tag title match. They will face Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page next week on Dynamite. So with this match itself, it was an okay tag team match. You had Kip Sabian and Frankie Kazarian getting the match going. Frankie Kazarian ends up hitting a clothesline on Kip Sabian. Scorpio Sky comes in. He ends up dropping Kip Sabian. Frankie Kazarian comes back in, delivers a leg lariat, goes for the cover. Sabian kicks out at 2. Havoc then came into the match. Scorpio Sky ends up taking him down. And at the end of the match, you had Penelope Ford distracting Scorpio Sky. Frankie Kazarian ended up getting sent out of the ring. And then Havoc and Kip Sabian delivered a dropkick Michinoku driver combo to Scorpio Sky. And there you go. Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc win the match. They will get to face Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page next week on Dynamite for the AEW World Tag Team Championships next week. So there you go. Overall, okay match. Wasn't a perfect or great match by any means, but there you go. That's set for next week. So then we had MJF. MJF was talking about, how great he is at being undefeated for a year, which is good. MJF, best heel in the business, going undefeated for a year. It's awesome. He ended up saying that he can't believe he hasn't received a title shot yet. And he should get a title shot. He deserves. He deserves it. He ended up saying that maybe someone, he ended up saying that, possibly somebody, doesn't like him very much. So MJF ended up saying that once he heard about the Battle Royal, he wanted to make sure Cody has competition. He says he'll have Wardlow out there as his insurance policy. So he ended up saying that when it's the two of them, Wardlow knows what to do. So Wardlow ends up saying, but, and then MJF ended up yelling at Wardlow saying, but nothing, getting in Wardlow's face. So this pretty much gave us a little tease that maybe they're going to split Wardlow and MJF. Wardlow's going to possibly have a face turn. But that was just a little tease right there. So, who knows what AEW will do? They're unpredictable. Those were little seeds planted. That maybe them splitting up Wardlow and MJF. And then we had the Battle Royal. The winner of the Battle Royal will get to have a shot at the TNT Championship next week on Dynamite and face Cody. So we had MJF and Wardlow. They ended up coming out. And we had other superstars in the ring as Dynamite came back from commercial. Billy Gunn was also in this Battle Royal, which was cool. Billy Gunn was at ringside, and he came into the ring. And then Orange Cassidy came out. Bell ended up ringing. Orange Cassidy was on the stage. And he ended up getting blindsided by Santana and Ortiz. And he ended up hitting Cassidy with the loaded sock. So, we had other, guys in there like Luther from the failed Nightmare Collective. Yeah, we all want to forget about that. And we saw Sonny Kiss. Sonny Kiss, very talented wrestler, which I saw him wrestle on the Indies. I mean, he should be in more matches on Dynamite. I know that they use him on Dark, which I don't watch Dark, but have him have more matches on Dynamite. So we also had the Jurassic Express in there. Colt Cabana was also featured. So pretty much what we saw was MJF. He was just sitting on the top turnbuckle. He was behind Wardlow. which was hilarious. So we had Luchasaurus choke slamming Luther out of the ring. Luther ended up crashing on the ring apron. So Luther was the first one eliminated from this battle royal. So Colt Cabana was, taking out these guys here, and he ends up getting eliminated. Colt Cabana ends up getting eliminated, and a Dark Order spokesman walks over to Colt Cabana. He ends up giving Cabana a pamphlet, I guess, for him, being interested in joining the Dark Order. So towards the end of the match, it came down to Jungle Boy and Orange Cassidy. So Cassidy ended up trying to toss Jungle Boy over the top rope, and Jungle Boy ended up clotheslining Orange Cassidy, and then he ended up hitting the Hurricanrana to Cassidy, which sent him out to the floor. So Cassidy got eliminated, and so there you go. Jungle Boy ended up winning the Battle Royal. He will get to face Cody next week on Dynamite for the TNT Championship. But I'm pretty happy for Jungle Boy. We'll like to see what he brings to the match next week, where he faces Cody. I think that's going to be a really, decent match to see with the both of them. And then we had the Inner Circle prep rally. So we had cheerleaders and drumline were on the stage. And then we get Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero ended up heading out, and she was grabbing some pom-poms, and she ends up going, "Are you kidding me?" Because people were booing her. So she couldn't use "excuse me," her famous, lines, famous catchphrase. So she then introduced each member of the Inner Circle. Of course, Hager, Guevara, Santana, Ortiz. Jericho ended up coming out last. So they all headed down to the ring. Jericho was on the mic, and he ended up saying that it's been a rough time for the Inner Circle. And he ended up saying that they will rise again. And he says it's not just for them, but for everyone in the crowd. So then they throw a bunch of the t-shirts, the Stadium Stampede Champions t-shirts, into the crowd. Some people were shown throwing them back into the ring, which was funny. Hopefully they sell those Stadium Stampede Champion t-shirts on shopaew.com, which I know they're possibly going to do. So Sammy Guevara ends up taking the mic, and Sammy Guevara was on crutches. And he ended up saying that they didn't win the match, but they participated. And Guevara ended up saying that he got a little something for the group. He ends up saying that he got them all trophies. So he gave them, trophies. And then Santana ended up giving out some gifts. He gives Jake Hager some boots. He gave Sammy Guevara Vicks Vapor Rub, which is hilarious. And then he gave Jericho a picture of the singer Mark Anthony, which was funny. Jericho ended up buying Sammy Guevara a scooter, so Sammy Guevara wouldn't be on crutches. And because Guevara was all banged up. So Ortiz ended up getting some headphones because he was still hard of hearing after Matt Hardy ended up ringing that bell at the TIA Bank Field in that Stadium Stampede match, which was funny when he rang the bell. So Ortiz still couldn't hear from that. So he had some headphones on. Ortiz got some headphones, and he was like, "Oh, I can hear again." And then Jake Hager ends up reading a poem to the group, which was cool. Then Sammy ends up asking Jericho what he wants. And Jericho ended up saying that all he wants is Mike Tyson's head on a platter. And he ended up mentioning that he hasn't forgotten what Tyson did to him back in January of 2010, 10 years ago on a Monday night, which they didn't mention, Monday Night Raw, of course, it's WWE. But yeah, that's in reference to what Jericho said. That's in reference to when Tyson was the guest host on that Monday Night Raw where Jericho ended up teaming up with Mike Tyson to take on DX. And, Tyson ended up turning on Jericho. Tyson ended up taking off his shirt and it revealed the DX shirt. And then he knocked Jericho with that right hand of his. So that's what Jericho was referencing. But I remember that. I remember that night on Monday Night Raw when that happened. So Jericho ended up saying that Tyson turned on him that night. He ended up saying ever since that day, he wants to get revenge on him. So Guevara ended up saying that he couldn't quite do that. He ended up telling Jericho he got a platter of cheese and some of the bubbly, the little bit of the bubbly. And so he ends up lifting it up. Guevara ends up lifting it up, like the sheet up. He reveals that it's all gone. So the bubbly was all empty. The platter was with less of cheese on it. And Mike Tyson ends up coming out. He was out with his group. Tyson and his group get into the ring. And Jericho ends up telling Tyson to shut his mouth when he's talking to him. Jericho ends up telling that Tyson turned on him, which Tyson ended up yelling, "Oh, you deserved it." So then Jericho ends up demanding Mike Tyson to apologize to him for what happened on that night. So then Tyson then rips his shirt off. He couldn't even rip off the shirt properly, which was hilarious. And he was flexing. He was doing faces at Jericho like that, which was hilarious. And then Tyson ends up shoving Jericho. Jericho ends up shoving Tyson back. And then we had a big brawl that broke out. The guys from the locker room all headed out to separate Tyson and Jericho. This was all, referencing, when Tyson and Austin went at it in '98. And you had JR on commentary go, Tyson and Austin, which here JR, Jim Ross, ended up saying, oh, it's Tyson and Jericho. So Cody ended up coming out, and Mike Tyson was trying to get back into the ring to pound on Jericho, but he was held back. And so both Tyson and Jericho were bickering, and that's how Dynamite ended. And You had Jericho yelling out Tyson's name. He was going, Tyson! Tyson! And then that was how Dynamite went off the air, though. But really good segment. This was a funny segment with this whole prep rally with the Inner Circle. With them just trying to, get back up. After they lost the Stadium Stampede match at Double or Nothing this past Saturday. But looks like we're going to get a Jericho versus Mike Tyson match happening. Probably going to happen at Fyter Fest, or they're going to prolong this and maybe hold it to All Out, which that's my opinion. I don't see them, prolonging this feud up until, All Out, which is happening in September. But I think Jericho and Tyson are going to have the match at Fyter Fest. But who knows? That's my prediction. But anyways, that was Dynamite tonight. Awesome show. Really good show. Yes, anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, which will possibly be the Friday Night SmackDown review on Friday. So until then, see you all on Friday for the SmackDown review.